Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. I did a story yesterday in which I indicated that I had another story brewing about Humza Yousaf. At the time, I didn't have any kind of backup or confirmation of that story, so it would have been just rumour at that point. But then today, the Daily Record has released the very story I had been told about. And so I'm going to take it as read that it is true. And it's all to do with Humza Yousaf, his access to data that he should have no access to because it's not in his current job. He should have been disbarred from ever accessing it. And the way in which he was cleared. He hasn't actually been cleared, of course. It does, I think, need a full investigation as to why he said what he said. Is it just a case of his mouth running away from him? Or is he actually guilty of breaking a very serious parliamentary rule? But we'll have a look at this and see what's going on, and to see what should really happen to a man who breaks the rules as badly as he does. Here goes. So, as you see, it's the Daily Record, and what we've got here is a strange case that Nicola Sturgeon has cleared Humza Yousaf of breaking the ministerial code. It's not Nicola Sturgeon's place to investigate and clear people for breaking codes. There should be a parliamentary team that looks on a case-by-case basis. It's not up to an individual. It's not up to the Grand Empress of the Glens herself to just simply anoint him as innocent. There should be complete scrutiny, and there hasn't been. She simply said, no, I've looked at it and he is fine. But I'm afraid he's probably not fine, because if what he said is true, then he's broken some serious rules. Anyway, the First Minister has cleared Humza Yousaf of breaking the ministerial code during the SNP leadership contest. Well, of course she will. She will do anything to protect her protégé. So the First Minister has cleared Humza Yousaf of bringing this code. The Health Secretary, who hopes to succeed Nicola Sturgeon next week as the party chief, was accused of breaking official rules by accessing government material to support his Butte House ambitions and to rubbish his rival, Ash Regan. This is information to which he should not have had access. A complaint was submitted this week to the Scottish Government's Permanent Secretary after Yousaf claimed during a live TV debate that he had checked government documents. He's admitted it. He's said he's done this. And that would be quite against the rules. He told investigators it was just a turn of phrase, and he was cleared by Sturgeon, not by any kind of ethics committee, 3 days after the complaint was made. It's not her place. She does not have the ability to do this. And if the officials are letting this ride, then what is the point of having those officials there in the first place? During Tuesday night's BBC debate, Yousaf was asked by Regan about voting against amendments to the Gender Recognition Reform Bill, which she said would have stopped the legislation from collapsing. In response, Yousaf said, first and foremost, Ash was, of course, my junior minister, when I was Justice Secretary. He then went on to say, and this is important, I've looked through the records and I can't find any record of you ever raising this issue with me. He is no longer the Justice Minister. Why is he accessing the records? Now, if he was the Justice Secretary, he would have access to them. He could have done that. But the fact is, he wasn't the Justice Secretary. So he would have had to have asked officials to do that. And that would be a blatant breach of rules. A complaint called on the Permanent Secretary, John Paul Marks, to investigate whether Yousaf had accessed or kept documents after leaving his role as Justice Secretary, or whether he had asked any civil servants or special advisors to check the information for him to further his party political campaign. And that is his downfall. Doing so could have breached the ministerial code, which states ministers must not use public resources for party political purposes. And if he asked a civil servant or a SPAD to do that, he has definitely broken the rules. The complaint was made by former SNP member who said Mr Yousaf is no longer Justice Secretary. Therefore, evidently, Mr Yousaf should not have access to departmental papers, minutes of meetings, exchanges between him and ministers responsible to him, or any other records from his time as Justice Secretary. Now, he said this. So either he was lying then, or he was lying when he said it was just a turn of phrase. Either way, he can't have it both ways. Either way, he lied at least once. And if he's lied about the first one, then he has definitely broken the parliamentary rules. And the man should under no circumstances be allowed to continue in this race. Indeed, he should be thrown out of the party. He should be losing his job as minister because of this kind of behaviour. Mr Yousaf should not have retained records that are pertinent to the role of Justice Secretary when he ceased to be the Justice Secretary. Mr Yousaf has used these government records as a means to advance his candidacy in the SNP leadership contest. The complainant requested that Nicola Sturgeon, who is responsible for ruling on breaches of the ministerial code, not be involved in the probe. But of course not. She should not be involved. They have an ethics committee. They have a ruling body. She rules on the breaches, but she's not there to investigate them. And there was obviously no investigation. She said, as the current First Minister will shortly be resigning from office, added to members of her government openly supported Mr Yousaf in his bid to the SNP leadership contest, it is apparent to any reasonable person that the First Minister has a conflict of interest in carrying out her enforcement responsibilities in this instance, and she hasn't published the results of the investigation. She rules on the investigation. She doesn't just rule by divine right, and they haven't released the investigation. However, the Scottish Government confirmed to the Sunday Mail that the complaint had been dealt with within 3 days, and Sturgeon had cleared her Health Secretary of wrongdoing. Let's see the report. Let's publish that report. Let's publish the investigation and see what's happened. No, they won't, will they? Ms Yousaf has confirmed that the wording highlighted was a turn of phrase used in the thrust of the leadership election debate and should be taken in that context. So you lied then or you're lying later. Like I say, you can't have it both ways. He said no civil servants or special advisors were tasked with searching government records. See, you're full of bullshit. You're a bullshit merchant. That's what you are. You're a liar because you said you searched. So you are a proven liar. So there you go. Do you want a proven liar to be your First Minister? Well, why not? You've got one already. Anyway, as such, the First Minister concluded there's no breach of the ministerial code. Oh, she's concluded. Based on what evidence? Let me see the report. Scottish Labour Deputy Leader, Jackie Bailey said, this is a serious allegation. It is not appropriate for the First Minister to simply sweep the complaint under the carpet. For years, the SNP government has been secretive and it lacked transparency. Not for years, it's always been like that. They have shown a disregard for the rules and guidelines that underpin our parliament. This cannot go on. Scottish Conservative leader Douglas Ross said it is increasingly clear that Nicola Sturgeon is pulling the strings behind the scenes, despite saying she would not be involved in the bitter battle to choose her successor. Oh, she most definitely is. She wants her little glove puppet. But apparently now, from what I've been told, the numbers aren't good. And it looks increasingly clear that it will, in fact, be Kate Forbes. But anyway, as for Humza Yousaf, the people of Scotland would be better served if he focused as much attention on Scotland's crisis-ridden NHS as he is on undermining his rivals in the SNP leadership race. A spokesman for Yousaf said, this is nonsense, there is no breach of the code. So that spokesman is admitting that Humza Yousaf lies, and it's fine and it's clear and everybody can see it. He is a lying liar who deserves to not be the leader of the party and deserves in fact to be fired as a minister and to have perhaps even to resign as an MSP. He's unfit for purpose, he's unfit for the role, and the people of Scotland can no longer believe anything he says as he now admits to being a liar. Right, I'll come up and finish. Leave the little liar alone. Do you know, as this contest has gone on, it's increasingly clear that Humza Yousaf is the worst possible choice for anything. He's inefficient, He's stupid. He's ignorant. He embarrasses the country by asking Ukrainian women where their men are. He now is a proven liar. A man who, as Transport Secretary, drove a car without insurance. A criminal. So he is the man that you must say cannot possibly be the leader of Scotland. Do you really want a criminal, a liar and a fool to represent you? And I ask the people who vote, you know, those SNP members who may watch this video, is this really, truly the best you've got? A man who cannot be believed, a man who tells lies, a man who is a criminal, and a man who has no concept of what real people do. He sits there, he destroys everything he touches, and now he just cannot even be trusted. And he's getting his little chummies to lie for him and to cover up his ineptitude. Oh yes, he breaks the rules, but we'll lie and say that he didn't, when he quite clearly did. Anyway, I shall finish there, and I shall stop, and I shall say to you, thank you very much for watching. If you like what you've seen here on the channel, please hit that subscribe button. Let's keep these guys honest. Let's keep our eyes on them to not let them get away with any more of this bullshit. Ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment, share the video. Definitely leave a like, as I say, because of it being political and the election's on, they will hide it. Until next time then, stay safe, stay well, don't believe a word that lying liar says, and goodbye.